Hey everybody, welcome to my channel. It's Where is Shay? And today this is Wellness Wednesday with my good friend from Houston, Texas, Miss Tralynza Conley. I'm so excited to have her on my episode. She's ventured off into a new journey. She's a licensed master in social work. And
Yeah.
she just started her own journal, you guys, guided self-care and mindfulness journal. So, woohoo, Black Girls Rock. So let's just go ahead and jump into it. I'll let you introduce yourself, tell a little bit about yourself. I know you're from H-Town, one of my old model friends back in the day. So
Yes, ma'am. So again, I'm Tralynza, in Houston, Texas. Actually, I'm originally from Memphis, but Houston is where we met. And we
yeah.
started this friendship many years ago as models. But as she stated, I'm a licensed master social worker. I'm currently in supervision to get my clinical license, actually. So in about 6 more months, I will
Okay.
be officially a psychotherapist.
Hey.
So yes. Gotta continue to, grow and learn and, increase my knowledge of this field. I love social work. I love mental health as a
Mhm.
whole. I'm currently a school social worker at a high school. And so my main demographic are adolescent teens that are dealing with all types of mental health issues, family issues, abuse. And so it's a daily struggle, but it's also very rewarding. And let me tell
Mhm.
you, my day never the same. It's always something different, going on. But yeah, that's just a little background about me. And I decided to come out with this journal because I found that there weren't too many things out there that I could provide my students to help guide them through the mindfulness and self-care exercises that I had been teaching them or talking to them about. So I wanted
Mhm.
them to physically be able to have something in their hands. So that's kind of where I was going with this.
And I think sometimes when people think of wellness, they think more of the fitness side of it. And there's actually like 8 dimensions of wellness. There's emotional, financial, social, intellectual, environmental, what else? Spiritual, occupational, and physical wellness. And I think sometimes even in the Black community, we're just barely touching on the surfaces of mental health. And it used to just be like, oh, only white people go to a therapist, or,
Mhm.
we don't
I'm
talk
not
about those things.
crazy.
Yeah, I
Yes,
ain't crazy. I talk to Big Mama and I pray, no, it's
I
more than
prayed
Big
about it.
Mama. Yeah, so
Mhm.
it's really diving in deep, and some of it's not like hardcore, physical breakdowns and just in a
Right.
corner crying somewhere. It could just be, little minor things. And like last Monday, for example, for myself, I wrote on my page just sharing like my feelings. I really just woke up and felt like I was on that Men in Black movie where they zap your memory. And it was just
Yeah.
like, I just woke up like, I don't want to journal. I don't want to write. I don't want to look on social media. I just didn't want to do a damn thing. And I didn't know if it was, that meaning of peace, be still, and just be in your space. I was just
That's
looking
right.
up at the ceiling, like, okay, what are you gonna do today? And I didn't want to do
Right.
absolutely nothing. I didn't want to watch TV. I didn't want to talk about it. I just needed to be kind of in my own space, in my
Yeah.
own thoughts. So, um,
And that's
this
totally
journal, this
sense.
journal, I know you. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, I was just gonna say that totally makes sense. Sometimes we wake up and our bodies are just not today. It's telling us not today. And
Hmm.
so that makes 100% sense. Yeah.
Yeah, and I think I was just like going through so much the week before of, saying goodbye to my grandmother's home.
Mhm.
She suffers from dementia, so she can't live by herself anymore. So
Mhm.
just that part of closing that chapter of, my life of being in that house, to finding other things to do in that city if I ever want to go back up to that particular town in Arizona, to just being adventurous, being emotional about shutting down the house and then coming back to, California and dealing with a day job on top of my other side hustles. It was just like I don't want to deal with none of it. I just needed a day to myself. I didn't want to talk to friends, family. And it wasn't like I was in the bed crying or nothing like that. It was just really just needing some self-care.
Mhm.
And part of self-care sometimes is just needing that peace, be still for real, for real.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And like you said, sometimes, we may not want to journal, or one of my things is to color. I think I
Mm,
did it for about 2 hours last night because in that moment I needed it. But sometimes I look at that and I'm like, nah, I just want to be here. Like, I just want to lay here, be in my space, be in my peace, and that doesn't always mean that, like you said, you're depressed, or you're going through a mental crisis. Sometimes,
mhm,
sometimes we just like we listen to our bodies for those physical
mhm.
ailments and those things that are going on inside the health wise, we have to listen to our body when it's telling us, hey, we're doing too much right now. Or, hey, I'm not feeling too well. I'm not feeling too social. What do we need to do to kind of get ourselves back to that? And if that means just being with yourself and being in the moment, that's fine. It's healthy.
Mhm.
That's healthy. That's that healthy piece, that healthy space. It doesn't become
Yeah.
an issue until it's chronic and consistent. So absolutely, it doesn't signify anything major or anything serious, just that, okay, it's time for me to listen to my body and know that it's telling me to just pause for a minute.
Yeah. And I think that's what I needed to do was just pause because
Mhm.
when I know, my taglines is where is Shay, and it was to the point like, hell, I don't even know where the hell I am. Sometimes
Mhm.
I land at airports, I'll be at the wrong baggage claim because I'm looking at the wrong city. Like, where did I just really come from? So sometimes having that busy and active lifestyle, it's just like you do need to just sit and be within yourself and
Yeah.
just really just have some self-care. And I've been enjoying I didn't want to write in it so far, but I've been looking at certain things. And on one of the pages, I like where it talks about habit tracker.
Mm.
Can you talk about that some more?
Absolutely. So with the habit tracker, it's kind of similar to what you were mentioning. Sometimes, we can get so wrapped up in life and things that we have going on that by the time we realize we need to stop or there's an issue there, maybe there is a mental health crisis at some point, and we don't always know how we got there.
Mm,
Right. And we may be thinking, well, you know, I can't think of anything that I did or said or that I didn't do that would have sparked this or that would have led me to believe, hey, I need to stop, or hey, I need to talk to someone. And this can go in many aspects of your life: mental health, social life, business. So the tracker isn't just based on, your mental health needs, but this is one way that it can be applied. And so if you look at those patterns of maybe your behaviors, your thoughts, some of your activities, and you're able to kind of see that pattern or the consistency or
mm,
inconsistencies, and it's there to kind of guide you to kind of know where to recognize, certain things, to kind of stop yourself and say, okay, I see that maybe I've been doing this a lot. Let me pause and let me stop and address this and see why I've been doing this a lot.
mm,
It also can be beneficial, like I said, in businesses, as far as, okay, well, I see I'm spending an awful amount of time on this particular area and I'm neglecting, my other
right.
projects. So it can really apply in every part of your life. And so although this journal was created from a mental health standpoint and with that background, I really wanted to think about something that people can use beyond that. I don't
Mm-hmm.
want it to just be, oh, I'm having a little mental fuzz, let me go to my journal. I want this to be something people can feel comfortable using, and for any
Mm-hmm.
reason.
And I don't really get like a mental fuzz when I'm looking at it. I think it's
Yeah.
some things are making you accountable, but it's
Hmm.
also, I think sometimes it's easy for me to be, oh, I'm her friend and I can give her advice, but sometimes you can't even give your own self advice,
Yeah. Hmm.
So I think it's just sometimes just making you think about daily things and your daily thoughts about yourself though.
Yes.
Um, like my confidence goal, what I want to achieve and buy and the challenges. It's like it kind of make you sit there and think,
Yes.
like what is my roadblocks, why can't I focus, this semester on achieving this or whatever it is that's going on in your life. And I think even this other part that I like, reframe my thoughts.
Yes.
And I think one thing that I learned when I went to the retreat in Costa Rica was that inner voice. And sometimes, and we named it. Mine was the devil. That's what I called mine.
Yes.
That evil voice that's just
Mhm.
always that negative talks and thoughts in your head. So I like that you did put in there, those negative thoughts and positive,
Yes.
because sometimes we can let the negative, feelings in our head, weigh us down, like, oh, you can't achieve that, or I don't know why she wrote this journal. Ain't nobody gonna buy it, or, so
Yeah,
it's probably a lot of things that you probably had self-doubt just even creating this, through your
absolutely.
process. So you want to talk
Absolutely.
more about, your thought process?
Yes, absolutely. I've definitely had, and it's funny that that's what happened with me, because it's one of those things that I really teach, and I really am, I'm really, really stern with my clients about positive self-talk
Mm-hmm.
and positive affirmations and manifestation. But when it came to this, like, I created it, I didn't really have many negative thoughts through the creating process, but it was like once it was done, it was like, do I really want to put this out? Do I really want to release this? Like, are people going to buy it? Are people going to find it useful or helpful? Like, I started to have all these negative doubts and
Mm-hmm.
negative thoughts. And so it actually took maybe a whole nother week, because I had to first try to figure out where those thoughts were coming from. Why am I hesitant? Is it nervousness, or do I really not have the confidence in myself? And I really think it was probably some of both.
Yeah.
Maybe I didn't have that confidence in myself. Like, I did this by myself, put this together. How do I know, it's good quality compared to what is already out there? And
Right.
so for me, it just took a lot of doing what I do to cope with my negative thoughts, which is every day I will wake up and I will give myself positive affirmations.
Mm-hmm.
So I used to put stickies on my mirror, and I've kind of gotten away from that, but I have a journal where I write positive affirmations or quotes, so that I can go back and read them when I'm having those moments of struggle or negative thoughts. So I got back to doing that.
Mm-hmm.
I got back to doing guided meditations. And through the meditations, I listened to one in particular on Amazon on the audio app, and they were just giving me positive affirmations to start my day. Or if I was having a rough day at work, I would sit in my office for a few minutes and listen to one midday, And so I just had to get myself back into a healthy train
Mm-hmm.
of thought, because I had become so negative, and just from nervousness, it made me become so negative. Like, I was trying to
Yeah.
talk myself out of it. And
Yeah.
so it is, something I know most people probably struggle with every day. And even myself, with now using a journal, it's been forcing me to, again, be mindful of my thoughts. Like,
Mm-hmm.
really, and sometimes we may not even realize we're being negative to ourselves.
Right.
Yeah. And sometimes we'll treat other people better than we treat ourselves. Like, we'll talk someone else up, we'll give them all these positive affirmations and, you know, all of this positive feedback, but we don't show ourselves that same type of, respect and love in return. And so
Right.
that's one of the things I wanted the journal to kind of help people with, is to learn how to turn that positive self-talk on yourself as well, instead of
Mm-hmm.
just giving and giving. One of the things that I say all the time that I'm sure people have heard before is, you can't pour from an empty cup. And
Right.
that just doesn't refer to physical things, right? The physical things we do for people. It also refers to the mental and emotional support. Because if
Mm-hmm.
we drain ourselves and give it to others, then what do I have for me when I need it?
Right. And as
So
I try to tell people, you got to find that inner peace, with yourself before
yes,
you can shine light on others. And I think even just like that day that I was just laying there and I was like, well, where do I want to be right now? And I wanted to be somewhere by some water, even though I'm in San Francisco, the whole damn ocean right there. That's not the water I wanted. I wanted to be somewhere on the shorelines, and I just turned on, like how you say you just turned on, some positive meditation. I just turned on sounds of a beach and the flows of the waves and just kind of closed my eyes and just laid there and kind of just had like a inner thought conversation with myself. I wasn't even verbally moving my lips. It was just like taking myself through my own life journey and how I accomplished so much and achieved so much along the way, from meeting you, we were, I was doing fashion styling more than I was modeling. Then I transitioned over to that. Then it went to sunglasses and, just a whole, I look back at a lot of things, and things I achieved and things that I struggled with as well. And it's like, when you sit there, I'm like, damn, you actually a badass woman and you went through a lot and you achieved so much and shit. You know what, girl, you kind of dope, you just start hyping yourself up. So, and my real name is Sheree. So sometimes it's like that Sheree versus Shay and, like just talking to yourself, but, really just giving yourself like that high five and you're doing a good job. And so have you used this with any of the kiddos at your school or?
Yeah, I have so far with 2 of my kiddos that's on my caseload right now, and they seem to really enjoy it. It really helps them to be more vocal about like their feelings and their emotions. Just a quick back history, when you mentioned, sometimes with African American families and Black families, how they are when it comes to mental health. My school is predominantly Hispanic, but they are probably even tougher when it comes to mental health. So I have a lot of battles and a lot of wars I'm trying to overcome, I guess you can call them, just because I do get the students, they're a new generation. They're well aware of mental health, their own mental health, the resources they have around them, and they want the support. And then, my abuela, my abuelo, they don't really believe in that. They just told me to go pray or, you'll be okay, or don't go to the school talking about that. People are going to think you're crazy. And so this has really helped a lot of them. They've told me it has helped them to put out their thoughts, to put out their feelings that they feel like they aren't able to share with too many people in their lives because of that stigma, on mental health. But it's also been a guide to help me to know how I need to help them. And so I don't leave it up just to my clients, which are my adolescent kids, to try to break those generational curses. I get in there and I work with the family as well. When that student tells me, okay, Miss Conley, I think I'm ready to have that conversation. I give them the choice. Do you think it's something you want to do on your own and be responsible for? Do you need me there to be a support and to be an advocate? But I try to first work with them so that they can understand exactly what it is, what it means, what they need. So that when we go to their parent or their guardian, then we'll have a better understanding of how to present, this to them, as well as getting them to be more open to, mental health intervention and prevention, and a lot of the conversations do tend to stem around, the fact that being sad, being depressed, having anxiety, doesn't mean you're crazy.
No.
You're crazy.
And I think, like you said, that generational thing. And I think sometimes keeping things in these 4 walls and don't go outside talking about it. And it's not sometimes family business. It's just that personal, personal journey of wanting to sit there and talk to your grandma, your aunties or whatever. And they just like, just pray about it. And it's like, no, I really, praying is one thing, but actually getting some feedback, and a dialogue with somebody on working through things is totally different.
Yes, yes. And that's huge, that's how well, I would say this for my students, they tend to tell me that's how they know who is going to be their biggest support as far as mental health. Like if I can't even talk to you, they've had parents just shut them down and say, nope, I don't want to talk about that. Or, okay, they'll talk to them, but they won't do much about it. If the kid says okay, I would like to talk to someone, I would like to have a therapist. Well, you don't need to talk to anyone, you talk to me. And so it's like
you part of the problem. Hell.
Yeah, it's not the same. And most of the time they are, part of the problem. And so it's not the same for the kid, like you said, and just being able to have that dialogue, and most of the time they'll tell me, but Miss, I prayed about it a lot. And, I still feel the same. And I said, because, we still have to do the work internally, we still have to do the work. We can't just pray this away. We can pray and ask for the support, but you still have to do the work internally. And so it's hard when, like we've been talking about, when you don't.
And that's a good thing. I think you just said is work. I think sometimes they just think it's just like a little magic genie kind of wish, like, dear Lord, please let this go away. Amen.
Yes.
And then guess what? When you open up your eyes, the problem's still there.
Yeah.
So,
and you know what? And I tell them, look, I think I see more adults that have that issue than students that think I'm just gonna pray about this and then it's gonna be fine. I'm gonna sit this over there. I'm gonna pray about it. I'm gonna sit it on the shelf, and then God is gonna magically make it all work. Well, I'm a believer, so I can say this: I will pray and pray and pray, but I also know that God wants me to do my part. He wants me to do my work, and so part of my work is with getting out my journaling. Talking to my therapist. Yes, the therapist has a therapist. Because what I realized, and it was hard to realize it's not easy, but I realized one day, you know what, it's okay. I'm not okay, and that's fine. Like it's okay to not be okay. And it was like a switch clicked on, and I finally got someone that I can talk to. And so I do those things. I do my coloring. I do my mindfulness meditation. Working out. Sometimes, you know what? I know that afterwards I'm gonna feel good, but maybe I just don't have the mental energy to get up to work out. So it's good to have multiple coping skills that you can kind of go to when you are feeling in a little, maybe a little funk, or maybe you feeling like you need a little more motivation. Have a variety of different coping skills, because one may not work for what you're dealing with in that moment. For instance, when I feel like I just don't want to move or get up, obviously working out is not going to be it.
Right.
It's just not going to be it. So I may turn on some meditation, some white noise, like you said, sounds of nature, things like that, which really calms my anxiety. And so a lot of these tools are things that I share with students, and most of it they can have on their phones, so that they can quickly get to it, but of course, when they need to have that dialogue, like you said, it's tough to be in a home with people that just don't believe in that, or just won't even try to understand it.
Well, they working through some of their own personal issues themselves. Well, probably not even working on it. It's just hovering in there somewhere and not touching on the surface themselves.
Yeah.
So it's kind of trying to seek heal or help from somebody that's unhealed themselves.
Yes.
So
absolutely. Yeah. You're right about that.
One thing I also like in here, it says priorities of my life. And I think I need to really work on that, because like I said, ever since dibbling and dabbling in this whole YouTube thing and kind of phasing off the sunglasses and the whole fashion elements of things, I have all these things going in my head like, oh, this sounds fun. I should try this. And now it's like, it came to be overwhelming trying to put it all together sometimes. And it's like, pump the brakes a little bit. It's all good and sounds amazing, but you don't want to just crash and burn too. So you want to touch on, the priority list?
Absolutely. Another thing, that was one thing for me. The reason I wanted to add that specifically is because I knew that that was a big issue for me, was prioritizing. And like, I don't think I've never been not busy. So for me, it was getting to the point where, and it didn't even register to me. Someone had to tell me, but it was getting to the point where I was doing so much and I was running around so much that without prioritizing and, thinking about all the things I had on my plate, I was beginning to make myself physically sick, not just mentally sick. And so a lot of my anxiety disorder that I was diagnosed with really came from trying to juggle so much, be super mom, be super employee, going to school, interning, like so many different things. And on top of that, I felt like I was in the most probably financial stressful time of my life that I was ever in before. And so something that was brought to my attention that I never even thought about was, well, have you ever really just sat down and wrote down everything that's on your plate, all of your responsibilities? Have you taken a look at that and just see how much it is you do? And I was like, no, I mean, what I do, I'm supposed to be doing it, as a mom, as a, as a social worker, as a student. So it never occurred to me that it might be too much because this is what I'm supposed to do. And so part of just healing from that was looking at everything that I do and figuring out, okay, what can I cut out? It wasn't necessarily easy, or what is more of a priority? This needs to go to the top. And if the rest of these don't get done by this day, then how are you going to handle that? Like, are you stress about it? Are you going to find a coping skill for it? And so that was me working with myself, trying to figure out the best way to prioritize all of these things that I was juggling. So I wanted to add something in here to kind of help people not just prioritize their schedule, but also what's important to them. And help them figure out, okay, this is what's important to me right now. So this is how I'm going to focus on this. And this is how I'm going to help myself be mindful and continue to care for myself through it.
Right. Because I think that's what I was going through kind of last week, was just that crash and burn, and I was like, I'm just going to sit here and actually just write down what's really a priority, even if it was announcing something on a newsletter, like, hey, I'm going to start doing this. No, maybe I need to scale it back a little bit, just so I'm not trying to pressure myself to accomplish so much. And I think that sometimes it's like we can be our worst critic too. And then feeling like we gotta overachieve sometimes. And you're really doing a disadvantage to yourself by doing that. So this kind of puts it like, okay, this day I just might just do this. This day I might not do a damn thing, and it's okay to not do that. And I think even just managing your feelings is another thing that I like in here. The best feeling in my life is, and write about it, and that you're touching on the worst feeling too. And I think as a mom, I was a single mom, as well. And I think I felt like the lowest when I was in a homeless shelter. And, a lot of people just seen, me keep pushing on, but really didn't even know where I was living at the time. And it just like, I felt like I was like the ultimate failure in my life, even though the place was, gorgeous and still looked like a place I would go rent, on a daily day. But the fact that it wasn't that, I picked it out on my own. I had no choice.
Even though, you were in that situation and the place was beautiful and the other people may have been seeing the nice side, the outside looked pretty, right? But deep inside, you knew that the circumstances that led there, they weren't the best. And so it's totally understandable how as a mom, you may feel, oh my goodness, I'm a failure. I'm not doing, what I'm supposed to be doing for my child, and in that moment. And, I've been in a similar situation. We don't realize they don't really know what's going on, but just as that maternal urge and that maternal feeling that we get, we just want to make sure that we're protecting them from any and every kind of situation, and we don't want to take them through certain situations. So And like you said, sometimes it's hard for other people to kind of really understand or be there for you when all they see on the outside is, oh, she's moving, she's moving, she's working. Like, they're always clean, they always have something to eat, but they don't know that inside, or when you get back, you're struggling, you're hurting, you may be feeling lost, or you don't know how you're going to come up out of this. Like you're going through so much emotion.
I think it was really hard for me too, because it was on a church property. And I think I was battling with God so much daily. Like, here I am, a CPS social worker. I help kids that's been through the worst of the worst in their life. And I try to go above and beyond for all my families on my workload. Why did I have to deserve this?
Yeah.
So I think I was just mentally beating myself up and didn't want nothing to really do with God at times. Like, why am I here? I don't deserve this. And it was the why me game for so long. And once I started kind of pushing myself and like, but why not you? And now looking back, I didn't help so many people, just telling that journey of my life and just being a walking testimony.
Absolutely.
So sometimes it might be hard in that moment, but when you look back,
Yeah, I was just about to say, now that you're able to look back and reflect, how powerful of a moment that was and how pivotal it was in your life. But when we're going through that, we're so stressed out and we're so full of anxiety and disappointment, like you said, in God, and sometimes even the people around us, and we can't really think and see the big picture and beyond. Like, okay, well, yes, and it's okay to ask why. I feel like you can ask why, but then let's try to figure out that why. Let's not just ask why, like, well, why me, God? Fix it. No, okay, why is this happening to me? You know what? Let me figure this out. He's trying to tell me something. He's trying to guide me down a certain path, and I need to figure out what that is. And like you said, your testimony has been a blessing to other people. And sometimes what I run into a lot with people and even parents that I work with is they just want to know that someone else understands. That someone else has been there, or that can give them that advice from a place of either personal experience themselves or someone they knew or loved. And so that makes a huge difference when the person across from you that you're trying to help knows that you really understand. Like, that makes a huge difference. And so maybe it was one of those things that to really be able to do the work you're doing, you had to go through it, and like you said, you really understand it then, but now you see the value in it. And so that's one of those, that's kind of how I try to help my students to process things that they're going through or they've been through, is to look at it from the positive, like, what did you learn from it? This was a very negative situation, but what positive came from it? Did you learn anything? And most times, a lot of those children that have experienced really bad situations, kind of like what you said through CPS, they know what they don't want to be to their kids. And so even though they had to go through it and it was, a horrible situation, they knew and they learned through that. Well, now I know what kind of parent I want to be for sure. I know what I don't want to do. I know that there are resources out here. If I can't, handle certain situations, that I can get help so that I'm not lashing out on my kid. And it's a tough lesson and it's a tough way to learn things, but those are, from the mouths of them, that those are some of the lessons they've learned just from what they went through, And so it's just all about taking those life experiences and turning them into something that you can use to become a better person.
Yeah. And I think that's one thing that I like on that one page was the positive thoughts and the negative right next to each other. So it kind of it balances it out. So if you're having that negative thought, okay, but what's the positive? Or I had this positive experience and I might have went through some negative things to get to that positive, but it's still okay to reflect back on that negative part of it too. So
yes, because that's a part of you, that's a part of your life. It's part of what made you who you are. And so absolutely no problem with reflecting back on that. Like I said,
Yeah.
it's, you know, as long as it isn't in a detrimental way, I think it's good and actually healthy to refer back to negative experiences to really remind us how far we've come.
Mm,
Hmm.
yeah. And I think that's when you really, like I said earlier, it's like, damn, you really are an awesome person or an amazing
Yeah.
mom, or, because
Hmm.
once you really look like, damn, I went through all of that and I'm still
Yeah.
here,
Hmm.
because a lot of things that, I've been through could have really broke a person to that pushing point of
Yeah.
being suicidal or
Hmm.
really snapping, what did they say, go postal,
Yes. Yeah.
so yeah, I think it's good to have different levels of journals, and I'm a journal junkie. I will admit it.
Yes.
I have
Yes.
several different journals for business and
Hmm.
travel and things like that, but this came kind of right on time. Like I said, even though last Monday I didn't give a damn about writing,
Yes.
thinking. I was just in my space. But when I came up out of it and kind of could just go through this book, it was like, okay, I'm really needing to work on priority right now in my life. And I think that's where
Yes.
I was at, because I was just laying there like, I don't want to do a damn thing.
Yeah. Yes.
So,
Yeah.
but I
You
think
know.
sometimes people looking like, oh, she's depressed. No, I'm not depressed. Not at
No.
all. Just
Right. Yeah. No, that's not always an indicator. And maybe we can come back one time and we can talk about some of those signs and symptoms of depression and suicidal ideation, because I think that part of the issue is just that people just don't know. They
mm-hmm.
don't know the difference, because and even if you were depressed, it's absolutely okay to be depressed sometimes. It doesn't mean you're suicidal, it doesn't
Yeah.
mean you necessarily need mental treatment. So I think that it's just really important for our communities to be educated.
Mm-hmm.
And I think the more they're educated and are open to being educated, um, the stereotypes and the stigmas attached to mental health will, slowly start to dissipate, or at least, decrease. But I think it's so high right now because when people don't understand it, something, what do they typically do? They're against it, right?
Mm-hmm.
I don't understand that. I don't know what that. Nope. Don't want it in my life. I don't know what that is. But I
Yeah.
think if they understood it better and were more educated, they would be more open to caring for their mental health the same way they do if they had high blood pressure.
Mm.
They're going to take that seriously. Who wants to have a heart attack or stroke? No one. So if
Well,
they,
part of having high blood pressure is part of your mental state too.
yes, ma'am, that stress and that anxiety, right? It can
Mm-hmm.
all go hand in hand. And so, but they don't want to address the mental. They just want to go to their primary care doctor, get checked out, possibly some medicine, and go on about their way. But they don't want to address the psychological and the mental need.
Mm-hmm.
And so that cycle is going to just continue. It's going to continue. What goes on here affects us internally as well.
Right.
And so I think just educating is going to be a big thing for sure. Like you said, you weren't depressed. You just needed a moment to yourself. You needed some peace. And so,
Yeah.
but out of concern, people were, probably kind of freaking out. And what is she talking about? We never see her posting it like this. And so,
And I
but
think that's another thing too, when it comes to social media,
yeah.
is always painting that pretty picture.
Mm-hmm.
Everything that you see that's glitter is not gold. And I
Absolutely.
think, part of where is Shay, my brand, is not, it used to be because I was the pop-up shop queen. So I was always somewhere. But
Yeah.
now it's, where am I at mentally? Where am I at socially, physically? And I
Mm-hmm.
think it's okay, I don't know what I pushed, but I think I archived the post on my Facebook, but it's still there, but it's still on my Instagram though. But it's not, every day is not gonna be roses. And it's
Right.
okay to post that. But one thing I try to tell people is I need you to read the whole damn post too. So,
Yes. Yes. Absolutely.
read the whole thing and you might just, okay, she
Yeah.
just having a moment.
Yes.
But
Yes.
and there's nothing okay. I mean, it's okay to post things that today's just not a good day for me, but
Right.
You know,
Mhm.
have y'all felt this way too? What am I feeling? Because I was
Yeah.
like, really like, I don't know what I'm feeling right now. And I'm pretty much
Right.
like always like, you got this, go
Yeah,
for
you
it. It's
are.
gonna
Yes.
be
Yes.
awesome. And I'm like, hell, I don't want to be awesome today. I
And that's
don't.
okay. That's okay.
And I
That
was
is
just
okay.
so,
You
but
allowed
yeah.
to have bad days.
Hmm.
Everyone is allowed to have bad days. Who
Yeah.
am I to tell you you can't have a bad day or how many to have? I mean,
Can I
you're allowed
have
to have.
one every 4 years and that's
Like,
it?
no, you had a bad day last week. You don't get one this week. No, that's not. No, if you feel like, and even, not necessarily do we have to relate to it as a bad day. It could just be a self-care day, a
Mhm.
peace day. Like we can rename it, my day, whatever you want to call it. It doesn't have to
It's
be a
Shay
bad.
Day, damn it. Shay
There
Day.
you go. You had a Shay day, and that's fine. And I'm glad to see that you took that time, to just kind of be with yourself and think through your thoughts and actually listen to your thoughts. Sometimes that's all we really need is to just slow down
Hmm.
to our thoughts,
Yeah.
be there with them and listen. And we usually can kind of get back on track once we kind of went through process through all of this that's just running in our brains, right?
Hmm.
Got us feeling anxious and busy. Okay, let me pause and let me just slow down my thoughts and see
Right.
what I'm really thinking, like what's really going on. Um, and so another reason I think this journal is good is because even once you're going through your journaling, you putting this information in, when you do have those Shay days or your peace days, you can kind of go back and look and just remember some of the things. You know what? I worked through this already. Let me see what I did to get through this. Or
Mm.
I think I wrote about this back last week. Let me go read and see exactly what I told myself, or what kind of things I did. And so I think it's just good as a reflection tool as
Mhm.
well, to kind of go back and look at and read, to just remind yourself of some of the things you're working on. So the things you've worked on and you've been
Yeah.
successful at, or not, or maybe there's some things that what, that's why I'm still feeling like this. I wrote
Mm.
about it, but I didn't really deal with it.
Addressing it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so the journal holds you accountable and it gives you something, puts your thoughts and your feelings and everything right here in one place, so
Mm.
that you'll have it to reflect back on when you need to.
Yeah. Well, I'm not going to be a spoiler alert and tell everything about the journal because I want people to go out and support you as well and work
Yes.
on themselves.
Yes,
And
ma'am.
I'm super excited for you. And I'm always about supporting Black-owned businesses as well. But this is a good topic to always talk about, not just for women or kids, for men as well.
Absolutely,
And I
yes.
think sometimes men are the most stubborn sometimes when it's dealing with,
Mm-hmm.
going to see an actual doctor for their health, let
Yes.
alone to
Mental health.
tap
Mm-hmm.
into their mental health. And I think sometimes they're like, yeah, we need y'all women to come heal. Well, a lot of y'all men are very toxic and unhealthy and unhealed
Absolutely.
yourselves. So,
Yes.
flipping through this, I can see this as a unisex journal for men,
Mm-hmm.
women, adults and children.
Yes.
So,
Well, I
uh,
am, since you brought that up, I am in the middle of designing a more masculine
mm,
cover. The material inside would be the same because it is unisex,
mm,
the material and the pages work for anyone, teen, men or women, but I am going to create a more masculine cover to really hopefully appeal to the gentleman more. So if you're watching this, please be on the lookout for the release so that you can, go to Amazon and purchase that for your man, your son, your father,
mm,
we can cover all generations of the family, whoever you think
right.
want it. Yeah, whomever can benefit from it. So yeah,
Well,
just
they
want
say to stop generational curses, sometimes you got to be that transcender in the family. So it
absolutely,
might
yes.
need to get us to Papa and Uncle
Yeah,
Billy, for Christmas as well, or a
yeah,
Father's Day gift or whatever.
absolutely.
So,
I
well,
agree.
I want to close with something on one of the other pages. It's gonna be my last. You can leave with a word, my friend, on I am grateful. What are you grateful for right now?
I am grateful for my life.
Hmm.
My life, yes. I think about when you said, wow, all the stuff I've been through. Well, I'm thinking it made me think and reflect about all the things I've been through. I mean,
Mhm.
even from childhood to now, and I'm still here.
Mhm.
Through all the health scares, the mental health scares, mental health battles, I'm still here.
Mhm.
So I'm just thankful for my life.
Yeah, for me, same, I'm grateful for still being here, especially through this pandemic. I've lost about 3 people in the
Mm,
last month. So I think just being grateful in the moment.
yeah,
And it's okay, whatever feelings you have in that moment, just be grateful, that embrace it. Even if it's a bad day, embrace it and reflect on it and work on it.
yeah.
So I think that's one thing that I really got out of that day of rest, was just embracing the moment and
Right.
being grateful that I can embrace it, because a lot of
Mm,
people aren't living to see another day in this pandemic. So that's what
yeah,
I'm grateful for. And
that's
I'm
the word.
grateful for you still being my friend.
Yes, I
You're
am
my
too. But you ain't going nowhere, girl. You stuck with me. Stuck with me. But no, I'm grateful for you just continuing to be such a great friend throughout all these years. You've helped me through a couple of my toughest situations in my life. So, awesome woman. I'm so happy that I met you and that through some of those toughest times I had you. So I'll never forget that.
Mhm. Well, we're gonna just keep pushing on this friendship journey and supporting each other along the way. But you guys, I'm gonna put in the comment section below on where you can find her amazing journal. Super excited. So it's not no little thin one, y'all. Y'all got some time to really work and focus on yourself.
Yes.
So, and there's nothing wrong with working on yourself. So we always remember that. So self-care is the best care.
Absolutely. And it's okay to be selfish sometimes.
You know what? It's okay to say no
Yes,
and
that's
be
my favorite
selfish.
word.
Nope.
No,
I'm
no,
gonna get a shirt. Nope.
no. Yeah.
But
Well,
today
thank
we
you
just
all.
gonna just have this great day and celebrate the rest of our day and be peaceful and joyful. Well, thank you guys for watching and supporting my friend, and chat with y'all later.
Thank you.